How's it going, YouTube? I'm your host for this one, Landon Dowlatsingh, because you guys really don't want me to sing. And welcome back to another most amazing top 10 video. Okay, so North Korea has gotten its fair share of negative publicity with Kim Jong-Un as their political leader, but today we're going to be taking a look at a different scary side of North Korea. So get ready for this one. This is the top 10 scary North Korea urban legends requested by you guys. So starting off this list, and at number 10, we have the eyeless woman. There's a certain highway in Korea that is known to be always foggy and have poor visibility. Over the years, there has been a lot of car accidents that occur on this very highway. But it wasn't due to poor visibility. According to the locals, they believe that the fog isn't the reason for killing people on this highway. Instead, they believe that something supernatural is at play here. Some drivers have claimed that they saw a young woman wearing sunglasses and roaming the highway at night. First of all, why is she wearing sunglasses at nighttime? I would be questioning her sanity. Once the driver gets close to her, they discover that this woman isn't wearing sunglasses. Her eyes are actually gouged out, and she roams the highways waiting for drivers to crash so she can claim her victim. I mean, what the heck is going on? Cockroach facial comes crawling onto this list at number 9. This is a scary story about a man who was so ashamed of his acne that he decided to try an untested and very unconventional way of treating his acne. He once read about an article online that said if you place a live cockroach onto your pillow at night, it will cure your acne. I'm pretty sure he found like a trolling website. Well, he was so desperate, he decided to give it a shot. He's like, what the heck, let's do it. I think I would rather have acne than have a house full of cockroaches, because don't they multiply very, very quickly? I mean, once you let one in, it's game over. So anyways, getting back to this man, the man caught a gross looking cockroach outside of his apartment and placed it onto his pillow. I would like wash the cockroach first. I honestly don't even know how he managed to fall asleep. When he woke up, the cockroach was gone, so he ran to the mirror to see what his results were, and his acne, it did clear up, so he got dressed and headed to school. But the story doesn't end there. Of course it doesn't. The next morning he felt pain and was extremely itchy all over his face. So he took a closer look at his skin and saw that his pores had been filled with cockroach eggs. I really hope that this is only an urban legend, because that would make me want to rip off my face. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Red ink drips into number 8 on this list. A lot of Korean households have banned red pens because if you use them, it generally means that you will encounter some sort of bad luck. Koreans believe that red is associated with death, evil, and pretty much everything else along those lines. Red ink is predominantly used to write the name of a dead person, not the living. So if you use a red pen in Korea, they believe that something evil will happen to you, so you need to be careful. Or if you write someone's name who is alive in red ink, that means you wish them harm or death. So it's just best to avoid using red ink while you're in Korea. I'd stick to either black or blue, because I'm pretty sure there aren't any crazy superstitions surrounding those colored inks. Well, hopefully not. Now at number 7, we have the Cho no Guishin, and I'm probably saying it wrong. Well, they're more widely known as a virgin ghost because they were murdered before they were able to get married. So now they haunt this earth looking for males to marry. They can also be found in abandoned buildings, hospitals, schools, bathrooms, cemeteries, and wooded areas. So basically, these scary and horrifying ghosts are everywhere. You know you've seen one because they all have long black hair covering their faces, and they're dressed in traditional white clothes of mourning, and they just look creepy as hell. You will also feel a sudden drop in temperature, the wind will change directions, and you will feel very uneasy. There's this one story about a man who had a loud knock at his door. When he went to answer it, no one was there, but he heard a voice telling him to close his eyes and count to 100, and try not to make a sound or else he will die. He was superstitious, so he listened to the instructions until he reached the number 49. And then he decided to open his eyes out of curiosity, but once he opened them, he saw a scary virgin ghost who was eagerly waiting to murder him. I mean, that is pretty freaking scary if you ask me. The handsome man in the elevator comes onto this list at number 6. If you ever find yourself in Korea, never ever let a handsome man in the elevator. Well, there's an urban legend about a Korean girl who lives on the 14th floor in an apartment building. This girl stayed late one night studying in the library, so she didn't make it home until it was almost pitch black outside. She never liked coming home at this hour because she didn't feel safe in her neighborhood. So when she finally made it to her apartment building, she rushed to the elevator and hit the 14th floor. As the doors were about to close, a handsome man came running in and stopped at the doors. He made a joke about her living on the 14th floor because he actually lives on the 13th floor. During their elevator ride together, the handsome man was flirting with the girl and she seemed to be interested in him. However, once they stopped on the 13th floor, he said, "I'll see you upstairs," and he pulled out a knife. And then he laughed like a maniac and ran for the stairs. The young girl tried to hit the emergency button, but nothing seemed to work. Once she hit the 14th floor, she knew she was about to die. Some people believe that this crazy man is still on the loose, murdering people in elevators. So I think it's time to be active, kids, and take the damn stairs. Dead family member in your dreams takes us into number 5. Alright guys, so if you ever see a dead family member in your dreams, make sure you never ever get close to them or else something terrible might happen. This is an urban legend over in Korea that goes something like this. So a man kept having reoccurring dreams about his grandmother standing waist deep in a lake, and she kept calling him over to her. The man woke up and told his wife that his dead grandmother keeps appearing in his dreams and she wants him to come closer to her. His wife warned him that you should never ever touch a dead family member in your dreams, especially if you're in water, because it's actually an evil spirit trying to steal your soul. So the next night he had the same dream, but he kept getting closer and closer to his grandmother until he suddenly just woke up. The more he thought about it, he remembered that he kept an item from his grandmother that she might not wanted him to have. So he visited her grave, returned the item, and then the dream stopped. Luckily for him, because he was very close to having his soul stolen by a demon, because he was getting too close. The girl who haunts the bathroom creeps onto this list at number 4. In Korea, there are a lot of scary tales about high schools that they're haunted by angry demons or creepy ghosts. Apparently lots of weird and scary things happen in the bathrooms because there are a ton of Korean urban legends that take place in school washrooms. But this urban legend is about a girl who haunts the last stall in the washroom. People have said that the toilets flush on their own, the door slams shut, and if you go in there by yourself, you can actually hear her cry. But if you are someone who the haunted ghost doesn't like, then she will take it upon herself to brutally murder you. But she does it in a way that it looks like a suicide and no one will ever find out that the last stall is truly haunted. The right eye blinks into number 3. The scary urban legend is about a young woman who is blind in one eye. She was eligible to get a cornea transplant in hopes that she would restore her vision completely. The operation was successful and the girl was discharged from the hospital. Exactly 1 week later, the girl stopped going into work and she wouldn't answer her phone, so her mother got extremely worried. Her parents decided to go back to her house to make sure that everything was alright. When she got there, they found her daughter lying on the floor in a pool of her own blood. She had committed suicide and no one knew why she would want to do this. When the police came to investigate, they noticed that all of the mirrors in the house were smashed and all of the reflective surfaces was covered with a sheet. Inside of her diary, they found a page that said, "My right eye is staring at me, my right eye is staring at me." So as the legend goes, her right eye used to belong to a deranged person and his spirit lived on in this eye. Taxi drivers are organ thieves, and this slices its way into number 2 on our list. There was a viral story that originated in Korea about taxi drivers harvesting their customers' organs. Yeah, that's right, the scary urban legend is about taxi drivers in Korea sedating their passengers so that they can slice them up, remove their kidney and other organs so that they can sell them on the black market. I guess they don't pay taxi drivers well enough, because why else would they come up with something like this? This legend claims that the taxi driver would take them to an underground surgical room They would use a dull scalpel and no anesthesia to help with the pain. After the taxi drivers would remove all of their vital organs, the bodies were dumped in a deserted field or on the side of the road where animals would eat the remaining flesh. I mean, is this real life right now? The cuckoo stabs his way into our number 1 spot. School children begin to spread an urban legend about a mentally insane man who can be found lurking in the dark alleys and side streets waiting for victims to kill. There is a version of this story about a group of young girls walking home from school, and as they were walking down a side street they heard cuckoo, cuckoo. When they went to turn around to see what the noise was, the crazy man viciously and aggressively attacked them with an axe. There was another story about a group of 20 Korean girls who were walking down a street when the man stepped out of the shadows and began to bludgeon them with a mallet, but before the police arrived the man vanished. The cuckoo man was committed to an insane asylum, and while he was there a female patient nearly killed him, so since then he developed an intense hatred towards women. So afterwards he escaped the mental institution. He's been trying to get his revenge on women ever since. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We'll see you guys all in the next most amazing top 10 video.